Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Combine here in Indianapolis. Hope everybody is feeling right, living well on this Tuesday evening. Welcome into the scenic palatial Rising Estates for the next couple of days. We will be here in Indy until Friday, which means that prime time will be tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday from the Combine. We had a lot of good discussions today and a lot of information that we learned about not just the Tennessee Titans, but a lot of stuff happening in the National Football League. So more specifically, we're going to focus in on what Ryan Carthon had to say about Ryan Tannehill and the message that's kind of been construed about the Titans quarterback situation. Beverly says, you're way early. No, Beverly, you're late because I told you that prime time would be 7 o'clock Central Time since I'm on Eastern Time and I don't want to do a show from 9 to 10 Eastern throughout the course of this week. So it's okay if you missed that memo, Beverly. Happy to have you guys here anyway. So you're going to hear from Ryan Carthon, who was, we taped a segment for my radio show tomorrow. We're going to play a snippet of that segment so you can hear or so you can get a taste of what Ryan Carthon and I talked about. Mike Vrabel, also on the radio show tomorrow, and Greg Cosell, jam-packed, loaded Tuesday episode of the radio show up here from Indianapolis. Clayton Smith says Tanny isn't going anywhere, and I'm cool with it at this point. Well, I want to get into that because I asked Rand Carthon about that today, and I'd be curious to see your guys' reaction to it. Hooligan says, break the shit down then. Well, that's what I'm here to do, baby. Because I'm not breaking down Indiana basketball right now. They're down 19 at home. I almost went to that game tonight. I was going to have to figure out what the hell to do with the primetime show, but I'm glad that I did not because, woof, what a mess. Anyway, before we get off and rolling, need you guys to share this show on Facebook, YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. We would be grateful for you that way if you would share this show. Twitter, retweet it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left. If you are on YouTube or on Twitch like Clayton Smith or Hooligan 901, you can subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video if you haven't done so already, and we would be grateful to you that way. And once you've shared this show, once you've gotten more people involved, we would, we can go ahead and begin this show on a Tuesday night. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time, not from the Superbook Sports Studios, but from Indianapolis, Indiana, the site of the 2023 NFL Scouting Combine. If you're new to the show, I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I am proud, as always, to be presented to you by our friends at Superbook Sports. Download the Superbook app today, and they'll match your first bet up to $1,000, win or lose. Superbook.com is where you go for terms and conditions. You can go to the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, GaryAshton.com. Your dream address without the stress is what they can provide. Get the intel edge you need to succeed, courtesy of the Ashton team. And True Math Fitness in the Gulch. We're very excited to have True Math Fitness with us through the summer. And if you need that summer body, True Math Fitness is your place to go. Get to TrueMathFitness.com as a Middle Tennessee resident and get your first workout free. So, obviously, here at the Combine for the next couple of days, and a circumstance for the Titans in which there's a lot of questions to be answered. Ryan Tannehill was something that came up today in a couple of different settings. So just to kind of give you behind the scenes of how it works, the coaches and general managers all spoke today. So the rest of the week, it will be player media availability. And then Thursday is when the workouts actually begin up here at Indy. And I'll be there Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, rather, for the first round of workouts. And then Friday, I'm going to head home after the radio show because it's a long time up here. And as much as I enjoy the Combine, it's just, after one day, I'm already physically feeling it. And maybe that's because Kirby Allen Kirby got us up at 4 a.m. to ride up here to Indy today. But meanwhile, Combine questions revolving around Ryan Tannehill. And this is a great place to start. Keep or cut Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Simple as that. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. Keep or cut Ryan Tannehill ahead of the 2023 season. Now, you can do it pre-June 1st. You can do it post-June 1st. You can do whatever it is that you desire. You'll hear from the general manager on this here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Two Rivers Ford Take is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Download go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, and you will get all of the 2023 model year Fords, quality American-made Ford vehicles for you to test drive and take home for yourself. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet for over 40 years, or online at tworiversford.com. So, as you look at the circumstances for the Titans at quarterback, we know what the Ryan Tannehill circumstance is, right? We know that he's on the roster. We know that he's got a $36 million cap hit this year. We know, talking to Ryan Carthon today, that they have not approached his representation nor him being Ryan Tannehill, about a restructure at this point. So right now, they're kind of chilling status quo. So with all this being said, the Titans, at least they look the picture looks a little clearer at quarterback right now, because Rand Carthon made it seem today like Ryan Tannehill is somebody who is going to be a part of this football team, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, anything could happen. And, I think that Carthon was non-committal enough to leave them enough wiggle room if they do decide to move on from Tannehill, be it trade or release or otherwise, that I think they can still do that without being like, but you said we were going to keep Ryan Tannehill. And he was asked this question a number of times today. And I want you to listen to the exchange that I had with Rand. So this is a preview of the segment that we're going to have for you on the radio show tomorrow. Rand Carthon and myself, Mike Vrabel, will be later in the show. I asked him about Malik Willis and what Malik Willis's role is on this team. And it seems that Rand, after doing podium with national media, after doing local media scrum, and then coming over to my table afterwards to do the radio show, I didn't ask him questions about Ryan Tannehill because I'd already heard him answer questions about Ryan Tannehill, and I'm not interested in having the same conversations that he just had on the podium. So I said, okay, let's kind of look at this from a Malik Willis standpoint and listen to the way that Rand Carthon kind of takes this and runs with it.
When it comes to Ryan, like Ryan's done a great job. Ryan's won a ton of games. I already saw pass on one of the screens, that I said Ryan is a Titan. He's going to be here forever or whatever. The little caption.
Rand, I'm telling you, I have DMs on Instagram right now. Do you think Rand Carthon's comments on Tannehill is a commitment to him for this year as our quarterback? Like that's how the news cycle works.
Well, I would just say from a news cycle perspective, whoever said that he wasn't going to be here? Mike's never said that. Amy's never said that. No one's ever heard me say that. So I'd like to constantly answer this question around Ryan's status. I personally don't think it's fair to him, and that's why I said that in my press conference. Ryan's under contract. No one from our side has ever said he wasn't going to be here. So that narrative was created outside of our building, and so in my mind, I don't feel there's a need to even answer it.
Sure.
And because in all fairness, I didn't ask you your contract status.
It's a contract year. we can talk.
You know what I mean? And so, I want to be mindful and respectful, of Ryan and where he is. And, again, I know this is a tough time for him, maybe a tough time for his family. But Ryan is under contract, and so I don't feel like – I honestly don't care to or don't want to constantly answer questions about Ryan's status and other players on our team status. Like I've said before, like we're not going to negotiate in public.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. We're going to keep family business in the family, and when we're ready to make an announcement, we will. And that's how we're going to be.
Titans general manager Rand. So that's a portion of the conversation between Rand Carthon and myself that will be on tomorrow's radio show. So you can look forward to that. We'll probably play it at 12:20 Central Time. It's about a 15-minute discussion, so I think you guys will enjoy it. And that was one of the bigger topics that we discussed, and we did go more in depth down the quarterback path at that point. Robert, make sure to tell us, Cheyenne, that I said hello. I think that the circumstance for the Tennessee Titans, he is accurate in saying that any discussion of Ryan Tannehill not being on the roster didn't come from inside their building. Okay, that's fair. We're all talking about potential options that are at their disposal. And Rand, rightfully so, is trying to be as respectful as humanly possible about the person involved on the other end of that transaction. In the other end of that transaction, which is, of course, Ryan Tannehill, who's, he's right to say that his family and Tannehill are probably very concerned about what the status of Ryan Tannehill's contract is. And so it doesn't do him any good, potentially a person who will need Ryan Tannehill in that relationship down the road to be publicly discussing Ryan Tannehill that way. So I think Hooligan says, good work, Buck. You let him talk and just guide it. Well, I mean, I appreciate the compliment. That's very kind of you to say. I love interviewing people. It's one of my favorite things to do. I just like talking to people, which is kind of funny because I do this solo streaming show, even though it's not solo because I couldn't do it without Robert. And I do what is technically a solo radio show, even though I've got Robert and Lucas and sometimes Kirby and sometimes a cast of thousands, right? And you guys who call in. This is not really a solo show when you guys are driving the content, whether it's Hooligan, Jay Parch, Jay Streets, David Brown, Bryce Erickson, or whomever. It's not really a solo show. But I do love, even though I talk, solo a lot, I do like to talk to people. I like to interview people. And Rand Carthon is somebody who I'm very, not just because he's new here and because it's something different, but, I hear a lot of good things about him. I'm looking forward to getting to know him a little better. And I think that I'm starting to kind of understand the person through a couple of conversations with him so far. So, to hear him talk about Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis, and other situations on the roster, as well as this draft class, make sure you check out the interview with Rand Carthon in its entirety tomorrow on the radio show. A to Z Sports Primetime is presented by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. Get your first workout free at TrueMathFitness.com. I will be honest, I need to go to True Math Fitness as soon as I get back to Nashville because Lucas, Kirby, and I went to St. Elmo's. There was steak. There was shrimp cocktail. There was something called chocolate mousse raspberry cake, which I have not had anything like that in about 3 months because 200 by Super Bowl, maybe a glass of wine, a little espresso. So I need to go to True Math Fitness as soon as I get home because they have helped me drop 52 pounds, and I think I just gained 10 back at St. Elmo's. Either way, the results have been phenomenal, and the results will be for you as well when you go to TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident, and they will always go above and beyond to make sure that you are in the best possible position to succeed with your fitness goals. See, this is why I love producer Robert, the work that this man does behind the scenes while we're producing a show right now to make sure that I have everything I need at my disposal. It goes above and beyond, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that from an undisclosed location somewhere in Hendersonville or something like that. I don't know. Meanwhile, let us talk about, okay, who would you target? If Ryan Tannehill is not the misguided perception says, I thought that clip was supposed to be about Malik. Did I miss it? No, that's the point. I didn't ask Robert to leave the question on there. So, you'll hear it tomorrow in its entirety because there's a little more on the front end of that exchange. But my question to Rand Carthon was, hey, where does Malik Willis stand in all of this? And honestly, I think it's worth playing the clip again because immediately he didn't even invoke the name of Malik Willis. It diverted right into Ryan Tannehill conversation.
When it comes to Ryan, like Ryan's done a great job. Ryan's won a ton of games. I already saw pass on one of the screens, that I said Ryan is a Titan. He's going to be here forever or whatever. The little caption.
Rand, I'm telling you, I have DMs on Instagram right now. Do you think Rand Carthon's comments on Tannehill is a commitment to him for this year as our quarterback? That's how the news cycle works.
Well, I would just say from a news cycle perspective, whoever said that he wasn't going to be here. Mike's never said that. Amy's never said that. No one's ever heard me say that. So I'd like to constantly answer this question around Ryan's status. I personally don't think it's fair to him, and that's why I said that in my press conference. Ryan's under contract. No one from our side has ever said he wasn't going to be here. So that narrative was created outside of our building, and so in my mind, I don't feel there's a need to even answer it.
Sure.
Because in all fairness, I didn't ask you your contract status.
It's a contract year. We could talk.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, I want to be mindful and respectful, you know, of Ryan and where he is. And, you know, again, I know this is a tough time for him, maybe a tough time for his family. But Ryan is under contract, you know, and so I don't feel like – I honestly don't care to or don't want to constantly answer questions about Ryan's status and other players on our team status. You know, like I've said before, like we're not going to negotiate in public.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. You know, we're going to keep family business in the family, and when we're ready to make an announcement, we will. And, you know, and that's how we're going to be.
Titans general manager Rand. So like I said, the question was, that's an entire response about Ryan Tannehill, and Rand Carthon took it where he wanted to go. But the question was about Malik Willis, and you'll hear that tomorrow when you hear the interview with Rand Carthon in his entirety. All right, A to Z Sports Primetime, live from the Combine. Love having all you guys here on this Tuesday night. We're here in Indy for the rest of the primetime week, and you know, the rest of the radio week as well. We'll be doing the rest of my shows up here for the rest of the week. Tomorrow on the radio show, as I said, Greg Cosell, Rand Carthon, and Mike Vrabel. They're all three a part of that show, so make sure you're listening from 10 to 1. And if you don't hear it live, you can always check out the podcast wherever it is that you get your podcasts. So the question becomes, what quarterback do you want the Titans to target if Ryan Tannehill is not a part of the ultimate solution? Or maybe you are somebody who is entrenched in the Tannehill camp. That's fine too. We will discuss together right after I remind you that A to Z Sports Primetime is presented by Superbook Sports. Download the Superbook app today, and they will match your first bet up to $1,000, win or lose. There's no better place to get in on the action than Superbook Sports. They offer you the best odds boosts and promo bets around, and they will always keep you updated with those great promo bets, no matter what sport you want to bet. If you bet my Hoosiers tonight, I'm sorry, because they are dog water. If you want to bet the Memphis Grizzlies or the Nashville Predators in what remains of the NHL and NBA seasons, you can do that. March Madness right around the corner. Superbook Sports is your spot. So download the Superbook app. Go to superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So what we have with the situation right now for these Tennessee Titans is a complex one at quarterback, and a lot of things that they can do at their disposal. Forgive me if I butcher this name. Yahawashi is that some? It's that sounds to me like it's probably anime, and I have a lot of people. I know a lot of people who watch anime. I don't know anything about it. That may be completely inaccurate based on what I'm reading. Either way, Yahawashi gang is lit. Maybe I don't know what that is. Either way, it's a YouTube name. Tank for C13. I assume that's Caleb Williams at this point. By the way, for those of you who are interested in tanking conversations around the Tennessee Titans, you need to listen to this Rand Carthon interview, because that's the first question that I asked him about the idea of tanking. And I think his answer you're going to find fascinating at this point. So Stephen Crozio says, we are stuck with Mike Vrabel till he or Mike, we are stuck with Tannehill rather till he or Mike Vrabel is done. No to Derek Carr, bro, might as well stay with Ryan. Derek Carr can be good for us, says Nuclear. I agree with the gang is lit down here. Don't think that is in your best interest at all. I think it's a tough scene. Well, let's see. Let's get Derek Carr. No, thank you. That's hot trash. That would be a downgrade at the quarterback position. You guys in here clamoring for Tannehill, says Ronnie Sneed, won't bring up his average play in the playoffs when Henry's been shut down. LJS, I don't know what that stands for. Either way, God, am I getting old? Is that what's happening here? Like, I don't know what names mean anymore, and I'm missing abbreviations. I'm concerned, Robert, honestly, at this point. Let's see. I'm just saying, is that an I? No. I read it as an L. That's my fault. Either way, this is how I become my parents. Looking at the quarterback situation, there's a couple of different options that are on the table. But I think if you're not good with the Tannehill situation anymore, you got to do a cost benefit evaluation, being like, all right, what's better, the devil you know or the devil you don't? And in talking with Greg Cosell of NFL Films, and we'll do another live episode of The Install tomorrow when he's on the radio show, and talking with Greg Cosell about it last week, we went through 3 quarterback prospects in particular who were interesting in this year's draft. And one of them was C.J. Stroud. What do you see when you watch the Ohio State quarterback?
And Stroud is a fun guy to watch because he's just a really good thrower of the football. I would say he's much more of a touch pace thrower than a true drive velocity thrower, but there's nothing wrong with his arm. He can turn it loose when demanded. But he's just, he's not a power thrower. But I think you're dealing with a guy that has an innate feel for feathering and laying the ball with precise placement. He's got subtle pocket movement. The Georgia game showed people that he could get outside the pocket and make throws. The question is, was that the aberration game, or is that something that now we feel that he'll be able to do? Because I think that changes the worldview a little bit. Now, the one thing I will say is, though, even if you feel that he can do that, at his core, he's still a ball distributor and an efficient executor of a passing game. That's what he is at his core. He's not all of a sudden going to be Patrick Mahomes. The only thing you think about, and this is true with a lot of college quarterbacks, not just C.J. Stroud, but I think it's particularly true of Ohio State because Ryan Day does such a good job, is when you watch Ohio State quarterbacks, number one, they're rarely under pressure, Buck. And number two, it seems like they're throwing to receivers that are always wide open. Now,
they're really good.
Yeah. And again, that's not a knock on Stroud, nor a knock on Ryan Day. Ryan Day's job is to win football games in college. And he has put together a system that's really, really good. So the only thing you think about is, you think about Stroud in muddied pockets, contested throws. And I think his footwork needs to become a little more consistent in the pocket. And obviously in that offense, there's many predetermined throws. Now, just so people understand, and this is very difficult, I've had this conversation with coaches, it's very hard to know unless you're, in the meetings, and we're not, it's very hard to know the difference between predetermined throws and anticipation. Sometimes you'll see a guy make a great throw and you'll say, wow, that's great anticipation. But the reality is that was the play call and that's where he's throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know that. But he is a very good thrower. He can make every throw. He's very clean in his delivery. There's a lot to like about C.J. Stroud. You just, as I said, you just wonder a couple of things, and we won't know the answers to those until we see him play in the league.
So that's Greg Cosell's analysis of C.J. Stroud. We talked about Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, and Bryce Young on last week's episode of The Install. As I said, there'll be more prospect talk with Greg tomorrow, probably in the 10 o'clock hour. So with all that being said, I think there's a lot of different things that you can take away from the Titans' media availability today. I don't think, I saw Rand Carthon's comments getting a lot of run on things like Bleacher Report and stuff like that about Ryan is a Titan and will be a Titan or something like that. I think that is people grasping at straws at this point. I don't think they're any kind of concrete, definitively in on Ryan Tannehill at this point. Now, I think he's playing politics very well, and I think he's doing it in a very respectful way to Tannehill, his family, and his representation. But I do think that all options are on the table. I think that the trading up options are a little different, or probably a little less likely at this stage than keeping Ryan Tannehill or trading Ryan Tannehill. But we'll see what comes. And certainly discussions being had. I was at St. Elmo's tonight. When I walked into St. Elmo's, I held the door for who was that? Omar Khan, the Steelers GM, and walked in behind, who's the Raiders coach? Josh McDaniels. I saw Coach Art Smith with his entire staff sitting at the table next to us, as well as the Titans radio crew, Coach Mack and Mike Keith, and everybody's in the same bars, everybody's in the same restaurants, and everybody's talking about the same thing. What are you doing with this player? Can you trade up for that player? What will it cost to get your first overall pick? All these things. Everybody's hanging out in the same places because that's what Indy is for the combine. So any further materialization of these things, this will be a week to hammer that out. Donald Red, I don't know if that's a conversation being had amongst yourselves or I can't read that comment. I almost Ron Burgundied something that I'm very happy that I didn't, and I'm not sure what's going on there, but I hope it works out, Donald. Either way, gone viral video. Let's do it. The question: what is the Titans' trade options? What are the Titans' trade options, to be grammatically correct? What are the Titans' trade options at wide receiver right now? Let's talk about it together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You'll hear a clip from the Bengals GM, as a matter of fact, right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com, your dream address without the stress. Nobody has better intel than the Gary Ashton team, and they will go above and beyond to make sure that you have it. Whether you're selling your home for more, whether you're selling your home without any stagings or showings, whether you're in the market to buy your next one while you sell your current one in this red-hot Nashville real estate market, GaryAshton.com has the intel edge you need to do all of the above and more. So trust the team that your favorite teams trust. Go to GaryAshton.com. Nuclear says trade for T. Higgins. Demetrius Medley says trade for T. Higgins. Honestly, a little more ticklish than normal right now. Okay, that's interesting. Also, Traylon is wide receiver 1. If we can get a competent effort together to get him the ball. Yes, your passing game needs a lot more help than just Traylon Burks playing better. But I think that the circumstance for the Titans wide receivers options on the trade market, that would really only, I think, make sense in a world where they moved Ryan Tannehill post June 1st and cleared up $27 million in cap space. But to hear the Bengals GM talk about it, Duke Tobin doesn't want to let go of T. Higgins.
I'm in the business of making the Cincinnati Bengals better, and so trading T. Higgins is not on my mind. That's their problem. They want a receiver. Go find your own. In my opinion, T. Higgins is a good piece for the Cincinnati Bengals. So the trade stuff is a little ridiculous right now.
So Duke Tobin doesn't now listen. GM say things all the time, but that does sound a bit. A bit demonstrative. Doesn't sound like T. Higgins is going to be moved for the Bengals right now, and it sounds like Duke Tobin wants to keep him around. But, A.J. Brown was always going to be a part of the Titans roster as long as Mike Vrabel was the head coach, and now A.J. Brown is playing in Super Bowls for the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's how that goes. All right, it's going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Show. Like I said, Rand Carthon, Greg Cosell, Mike Vrabel, all three of those gentlemen on the radio show tomorrow. We may have more guests tomorrow, too. We're going to have great guests throughout the course of the week on 104.5 The Zone, and we'll have great discussions to recap everything that I've learned at the Combine. And, I'm going to head out right now and go see what people are talking about in bars around Indianapolis at this stage to kind of figure out where traction is headed, where momentum is headed, and who is going to be the player that gets the next deal done, tag, franchise, or free agency, draft, or otherwise. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I always enjoy my time up here. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time on 104.5 The Zone. See you guys.
Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal a show.